Hey everybody, I'm very proud to introduce my friend all the way from Augusta, Maine. You didn't come down just this morning, did you? Please.
Yes.
What? No way. All right. This is the amazing Martin Swinger, everybody.
Golly, I'm glad you think I'm this tall. That's great. That's great. There you go. There we go. Thanks very much. April is Autism Awareness Month. And so I want to tell a little bit of a story about a friend of mine, a young man named Gene. When he was in school, they referred to him as the retard because that's what we called people with autism in those days. Luckily, we have learned better. And Gene has single-handedly taught us a lot. When Gene was in school, he didn't talk very much, or if he said anything at all, he said the same thing over and over for a long time. When he got out of school, the University at Syracuse was working on a program called Facilitated Communication, taking people who had difficulty communicating and trying to find some way for them to do that. They discovered through a series of experiments that if Gene pushed against somebody else's hand, he could aim his finger. So they put up a big poster of animals, and they said, Gene, can you point at the rooster? And Gene would point at the rooster. And Gene, can you point at the dog? And Gene would point at the dog. So they worked over a series of years with smaller and smaller and smaller targets. And then one day, they sat Gene down in front of a computer keyboard. And they said, Gene, point at anything you want to. And Gene pointed at I-M-I-N-H-E-R-E. I'm in here was his first message to the world. Now Gene writes the most incredible articles about what it was like to grow up not being treated as a real human being. And in one of his stories, he refers to himself as Pinocchio, because Pinocchio knew in his heart that he was a real person, but nobody else saw that. I'm the wooden boy. It's what they think of me. At school and on the playground, that's all I'll ever be. I cannot join the fun. They push me from the games. I see their mocking faces. I hear them call me names. Mother says my real name and turns down the light. We have to say our prayers before we sleep tonight. She folds my hands together like I was a toy. I pray that when I wake, I'll be a real boy with my hanging head and these ink spot eyes. No one comes near. With an eager mind and a longing heart, I'm in here. I'm in here. Father doesn't listen when people say he's just an old fool who should throw me away. They say I'm broken, can't come to any good. What is a father's love to a boy of wood? With my hanging head and these ink spot eyes, no one comes near. With an eager mind and a longing heart, I'm in here. Mother lifts me up to lay me on my bed, tucks in the checkered blanket, kisses me on the head. Father reads a fairy tale, a wooden boy like me, who's swallowed by a whale, but rises from the sea. be all you see, a puppet on a string, but there is more to me. And all I ask of you is to be understood, to see the boy beneath the boy who's made of wood. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Martin Swinger, that was awesome.
Thank you.
So I feel like that's a really good example of the kind of songs you write that aren't your typical singer-songwriter subjects. You write about little plastic parts and just little things in the universe and big things like autism. So what is your inspiration behind looking for sort of other things to write about?
I've just always been shy about writing about me, 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 me. You know, I'm endlessly fascinating, but me, 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 me gets pretty it gets old. It can get wearing on an audience. And I get bored with that too. So I find fascination in a lot of things in the world, in rocks and nature and in people and in events and activities and in objects. I find inspiring. And so I like to find some other way around. And of course, I share who I am by the things I choose and by the things I write about. But I just like coming from a different angle, and that's, of course, part of the challenge and part of the fun, too. People ask me what I write about, and it's kind of hard to explain sometimes.
And what about musical inspirations? Who do who inspired you as a musician in terms of their songwriting?
Well, it all started, I was the youngest of three. My older sister brought in opera and classical music. My older brother brought in rock and roll and Three Dog Night and In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. My dad loved country music and jazz music, so that's what he was playing on the radio. And when I got old enough to start buying my own CDs, I got into Peter, Paul and Mary and Simon and Garfunkel, and finally Harry Nilsson was a huge influence on me. I like just all kinds of music, all kinds of songwriters. What's important to me is having a story and having something to say. That's what's important to me in a songwriter. So I like a lot of contemporary people too.
Comes all around to folk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what folk music is about. That's why it's so exciting to be part of this community. There are people that bring incredible messages through their songs, and maybe this is the only way people will get to hear them.
So are you a full-time musician up in Maine? Are you a full-time touring musician? Do you do other things?
Yes, I'm a full-time folk musician. Would you like fries with that? I do work in a restaurant to fill in the gaps, but I wear a lot of different hats. I also go into schools and teach songwriting to kids, kindergarten through 5th grade. We write mnemonic songs based on familiar tunes, but the kids do the entire process themselves. So they write little mnemonic tunes like Rosa Parks, got on the bus, the bus was going around the town, she got arrested for sitting down just because her skin was brown, and that's not fair, just not fair. 2nd grade class wrote that one. So it's really a lot of fun being part of that. And then the other thing that I do is I've studied a lot of improvisational singing, and so get groups of people who don't believe they're singers together to actually sing with each other. It's pretty incredible and pretty fun.
That's amazing. Well, where can people find out more about you if they don't already?
Well, if you want to know more about me, you can just Google Swinger. And you end up in some very interesting places. But if you put my name, Martin, in front of that, you will find me. I'm all over YouTube. I've got a couple of websites. that talk about me. If you go to any of my websites, if you go to martinswinger.com, you can find out about Swinger Songwriter, which is all the family music and working in the schools. Yeah, martinswinger.com. And then go to YouTube. I've got a lot of stuff on YouTube as well.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much. Martin Swinger, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you. I don't know who's up next. Oh,